even if Putin comes in and takes these cities, the Ukrainians are not going to roll over. He will have a guerrilla war and the hatred of the people for years. That is unsustainable. Is there right now some kind of political face-saving way out for Vladimir Putin to end this war?
Well, Brian, that's the question, isn't it? There are talks on the Belarus border, and it's not clear that Putin is taking it seriously yet. But if we look at it from a distance, we see that Russia miscalculated. They told these soldiers, these conscripts, that they were on an exercise and that they were helping denazify aggression in Ukraine. When the soldiers showed up, they realized that they were in a hostile place, that people who look just like them and speak Russian were criticizing them and asking them, what are you doing here? Their morale is low. Their professionalism is low. Our military experts have pointed out that a more professional army would have come in with combined arms. They would have had better logistics. They would have done much more, much sooner. The question is, does Putin realize that either way, if he ends it soon, it may be better. If he ends it later, he will be a war criminal forever. And there will be, the difference is you have 1 million refugees and more coming already having crossed into Poland and into the West. And these are mostly women, children, and elders, because the men who brought them there have all gone back to fight. So the difference is, if these men die, there's nowhere for these refugees to go home. If the men live, if their apartments are still there, the refugees will go back. So there's a big stake for Europe in ending it sooner. I think there should be some policy consideration on war crimes that lists the chain of command, not just Putin, but the Minister of Defense, the Chief of the General Staff, and the military chain of command that is doing this damage to civilian areas. That's the way to get their attention. Maybe they will pressure Putin to end it sooner.
Is there a way, Ambassador, to say, Putin, you're going to lose. You probably already have lost. You can bomb all the buildings you want. You can kill Ukrainians by the thousands, but there is no way out. You are not going to, quote, win this war, even if you leave troops in the nation. Leave now, and we will restore Russia's place in the world. Is there some way to get a message to him, whether it's through China, through Belarus, as you mentioned, to say, go back, we're not going to forgive you, but we will restore Russia's place in the world, and we will kind of reset, because otherwise it just seems like we're going down a black hole, and it's hard to see that exit that leaves Ukraine and its people intact, and Vladimir Putin, maybe we want this, but not with a bullet in his head.
Well, I completely agree with you. In fact, we are all grotesquely witnessing mass murder on social media, and this is something which it's a crime in and of itself. We've never had such an intimate look at such a devastating operation. There has to be a fig leaf. There has to be a face-saving way out. There may have to be some formula where Ukraine says we're not going to put advanced missiles or combat platforms from NATO on Ukrainian soil for a decade at least. We won't do exercises with NATO on Ukrainian soil. Something like that they may not want to do in the Zelensky government, but that this gives Putin some kind of face-saving way to say, you see, I've neutralized them. He needs a way out. And I think you're right. The messenger, I would suggest, is Xi Jinping of China, who must be horrified at how quickly Vladimir Putin has fallen from the heights of a man who might be president for life. Now he is a pariah for life, no matter what. He's the equivalent on a grand scale of Bashar al-Assad.
Yeah, and we saw this with Hitler, Ambassador, because there is a lot of chatter, and I'm not going to speculate, but people I've talked to, and I'm sure you have too, suggest that he is mentally ill. He may have some sort of residue of long COVID. There's been a lot of thoughts about what exactly is happening in his head right now. He clearly does not seem or look well. Is there anybody in his inner circle who would be able to, for lack of a better term, resolve this situation?
If they think they're going to be charged with war crimes in the International Criminal Court, the General Staff and others might run for cover. If the oligarchs think that their assets are going to be seized and used to pay for the refugees and the rebuilding, they may move faster. The key is to proceed with policy and legislation to make those things possible, and then and then break through the firewalls and let the Russian people know what's really happening.